Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? So did anyone watch the programme yesterday, The Fear Clinic? So this is a programme that's on Channel 4. It's going to be in different episodes. So we've watched episode 1. I think there's going to be 2 or 3 more episodes. The programme is based on a clinic in Holland that specialises in working with phobias. And this is definitely something that fits in with the work I do as a counsellor. I don't specialise in working with phobias, but I do work with use CBT sometimes to look at people's thoughts, their feelings and their reactions to things. So I'm going to go for my walk. You can see I'm in a nice park and I'm going to talk about this, review this programme, The Fear Clinic. So in episode 1 there was 3 people. So you had Nicholas. If I look down, I'm looking at my notes. Nicholas has got a fear of mice, and even though that normally wouldn't be an issue, he works in a warehouse and he says he knows that there are mice in the warehouse, and he won't even have his lunch in the kitchen. He's so scared of mice being in there that he stands on a chair, gets his food out of the fridge, goes to his car and eats his lunch. And even when he was talking about mice, just the germs aspects and all of this stuff, you could see he was like shaking. You could tell it's a severe reaction. I was really proud of him though in the end, because to start with, on day 1, so they have 2 days of exposure therapy. In CBT we would call it exposure therapy or flooding, where you expose someone to the issue and then you completely overwhelm them with it. So if someone's scared of water, it is extreme, they would go in at the deep end, and then you would measure their anxiety levels, and you would try to keep them in that situation until they bring down their anxiety. So with Nicholas, he was so funny. He was a black guy, and he was just like, no, he kept going, bro, I'm not going near these mice. And he wouldn't go into the room. And then he went in the room, and then they asked him to stand in the box with mice, and he wouldn't do it. And he was just being really cool and go, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he managed to stand in the box, and then the mice were crawling up his legs, and he was getting really scared. And then eventually he got out and he was shaking. But what was good is the second day when he came back and he stood in the box, he was able to stand in the box, be exposed to mice around him, and they were even crawling up his leg. And then he was even being cheerful and saying, oh, my friends, and that sort of thing. And he thanked them because he managed to beat his fear. The second person, I think, what was his name? Can't remember the second guy's name. Let's see if I've written it down. Oliver has a bit more of a not as common fear of balloons. And with these fears as well, they look at the origin. So with Oliver, he had a bad experience when he was a child with balloons. So he doesn't actually fear the balloons themselves. It was because what happened when he was scared and he was trapped, balloons were about. So he linked that with being fearful of balloons. He's not actually fearful of balloons, he's fear of being trapped. So he went into a room that was filled with balloons, and then they were making that horrible noise where you're squeezing a balloon. Even I don't like that noise, but they blindfolded him and he had to listen to that noise. Then they were popping the balloons around him. And what was really good about him is that he was scared. I mean, he was at a 10, he was crying, he was shaking, everything, but he persevered. And in the end, he was able to stand in a room with balloons and actually pop a big balloon. He did it himself, and he passed his fear. Now, the third person, unfortunately, her name was Nina. I'm just going to be honest. I felt that she didn't want to tackle her fear. I felt that and in the end, actually, that proved right. Before she even said, the words that she said, Nina said, was, I'm more at peace with living with this fear, she said. And before she said that, I already knew that she wasn't putting everything into it. So her fear is called amaxophobia, a fear of being a passenger in either on buses or in cars. Now people might say, oh, that's fine, she drives everywhere herself, but it's causing issues because she will not be a passenger in anyone else's car. It's sometimes she can't drive to places, but she won't be. Now she came out of she was already shaking when they were talking about her getting into the car. She then went into the back seat, in the passenger seat, with the professional with her. And within 2 seconds of them driving, she was trying to get out of the car. Then they locked the doors. Then she was I felt she was overacting. And I know that people are going to say, well, that's not very nice. And, you don't know what she's feeling. She didn't try. And then she was sat there and she was like, I want to get out. She was it was almost like she was being quite childlike, because she wasn't crying, there was no tears, and there was no fear. You were literally sitting in a car in the passenger seat, and I know it's a proper fear for her, but the whole point of going on the show is to push past that fear. And I'd say that, like, having mice around you, or having, you know, I'm not saying it's not a genuine fear. It is quite uncommon, they said, but it was the fact that she didn't even try. The woman kept saying to her, you know, I'll be with you, you know, we're trying to get you to the point where you're so anxious. But then in the end, she just said, stop the car, and she got out the car. And then I think it was her attitude after which made me feel a bit not, you know, I didn't feel warm to her, because she kept saying, at least I tried. And she was saying, you know, I'm at peace with it, I'm at peace with it. My belief is that she likes to be in control, so that's why she drives. And I think she also gets something from, you know, being someone that has got this fear, because when she says I'm at peace with it, my theory on that is that as long as she holds on to this fear, because it's become part of her identity, she'd rather be that person who has to stay in control. I think it's more of a control issue for her. And I think she didn't want to cure it, because if she cures the issue, then she can no longer be in control. Then she has to allow other people to be in control. So yeah, I found that was disappointing, because it's like she's travelled all the way from the UK to Holland. She's got all these professionals that know what they're doing, and I don't think she gave it enough of an effort, really. But she said she's at peace with it. She's at peace with that fear. And I'm thinking, well, if you're at peace with it, why did you go on the show? Someone else could have took your place. So that was the Fear Clinic. Very interesting program. They're doing another one next week. They showed a bit of a trailer to it. It's going to be about people who are fear of deep water and that sort of thing. And yeah, I found it really interesting to watch. Let me know if you watched it as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Bye.